How much does it really cost to live in the Philippines today in 2026? Let's find out. So the reason I made this video is because there's a lot of misinformation going out there about what people can expect. A lot of guys are retiring and they're not in touch with the reality that, you know, inflation is still a thing. One upside to moving to the Philippines at the moment is that inflation is real, but it doesn't kind of correlate with the US dollar per se. So like while prices go up, for whatever reason, the value of the peso per dollar is also going up. And while that's not the best thing for the local Filipino, if you're American or if you're from other countries, that's probably a good thing. The value of the American dollar for some reason is going up in the Philippines. And that probably means that these other currencies are doing just the same way. So this is mostly for Americans watching. For the Filipinos watching, I love you too. Thank you for sticking around. But basically this is just like kind of what you can expect walking into the country, because a lot of people have false expectations. I want you to know exactly what you're going to be paying for some of these expenses. Yeah, so let's kind of break it down a little bit. Forgive me if So we're going to start with $200. We're going to call this level, leave this for the locals. Do not do this. So this level of income is if you live on the province. Maybe you are lucky enough to find someone online who, for whatever reason, you trust and is not going to screw you over, and you can live on their province land and they're not going to charge you a thing. Maybe they want you to help with chores or something like that. You are still going to need to pay for immigration. Maybe you don't care and you don't mind being blacklisted, which basically what that means is that you may or may not get deported, but you also will not be able to come back to the country unless you've paid arrears. And in layman's terms, that means that there's going to be an amount of money that you need to pay before you're allowed to travel to that country, at least, or in general possibly. So don't do that. But let's say you have your immigration paid, which is going to be on average about $50 a month or less. It can be really low. Like it was lower than what I expected before, but I would say set aside $60 a month just to make sure that everything goes smoothly. There's a more expensive one that you can do when you renew your visitor visa if you're coming from another country, where I think that you can make it expedited just so you can get your stuff done sooner, but you save more money if you just do the basic one, and I'll talk about that on a different video if you guys really want to know. I feel like it makes more sense me explaining it in dumb boy brain kind of terms, because no one explained it to me that way, and that's the way I think. And then the rest of the money, this is given that you don't have anything else that is automated payments in the States or wherever you may come from. Like as long as there's nothing else, like you have the $60 that you pay for that, and then whatever's left of the $200 you're spending on like random expenses that come up, like a little bit of food here and there you might want to go get from the nearby wet market or other markets like that, what have you, that have vegetables and fruits, meats, things like that, just absolutely raw. 0 stars, would not recommend. I wondered, does this thing work? I've been having it sit around just for a few years. We'll see if I can just be anywhere, because I've got family who doesn't want me to show the house. But what if I wasn't here at all? Where am I? It doesn't cover the whole thing. Let's not do it. Sorry you had to see that. Let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, moving on to $400 a month. It is doable, but I also would not recommend. I would give this one like a 2 stars out of 5. Like, it's doable. It's not fun. This is kind of what I did the last time. My expenses at the end of the day were just a little bit more than $400. Now you adjust for peso inflation, it's probably just a little bit cheaper than it was back then, considering the exchange rate has gone up from 50 to 60. Since the last time I lived there, it's gone up about 10 pesos, give or take. But what you can expect to be paying and spending during the month is going to be looking a whole lot like, first and foremost, $120 for rent. Now you might get a room if you're lucky for that amount, like a one entire bedroom for yourself and a shared kind of like roommate situation. More likely it's going to be one bunk in a room full of people that are cohabitating and like working, and then you get to like share the kitchen space, kind of like that. And I could show you what that looks like in a separate video. Very, very basic kind of life. And if you're lucky, you might be able to spend the majority of that on rent and then have things look a certain different way like I did it, because I'm really careful. But as your first time doing it, I feel like when you move into a place, you want to get a feel for it, and that's a safer way to do it than the way I did, because I honestly overspent on what I was getting for my rent. The rent was really high and it wasn't that good of a room, and my standards are pretty low already, but there wasn't any sunlight, and that was already costing me $13K, which converts to about anywhere from $200 to $260, depending on how the inflation rate's looking. And then you have to take into account that you're going to be paying about $50 for your immigration, right? Rule of thumb here, no matter where you're budgeting, if you're going out of the country, if you're going to a different city, if you're going down the road, you want to plan with some cushion, right? Don't plan just the exact numbers. You want to have some cushion, because there will be costs that come up that you don't expect. But when you keep that in mind, we should be right on track. Groceries and food, I put those together. So if you ever go to restaurants, this comes out of this. There's a certain amount of money I spend per day that is allotted out of a portion of the month, right? So you've got 30 days in the month. Usually if you plan with that cushion, you'll be fine to take care of that 31st of the month. If heaven forbid it is a month where you've got a 31st day, usually there is enough money that you'll be fine to pay for that one day of groceries if you go with the low budget that I have planned. As a single person living alone, you're not going to be eating a whole lot. You keep your meals pretty simple and you learn how to cook. Don't eat out too much. But if you do eat out, you only eat out if you have enough money to eat out, right? So you're not going to be eating out three times a day, just like you shouldn't be doing that in the States for each meal, right? But basically you are going to build a habit of learning to cook no matter where you live, and you will be a powerful single individual. And I know you're single because you're looking at this video. Like, I don't know anyone who's like a couple that's like, let's go move to the Philippines together. And in that case, you two have the power of 2 incomes together. So if you live by these principles, you'll be even more powerful than a single. But a single that is able to live off of this can conquer the world anyway. So now you guys can conquer 2 and go on dates. $60 in electric. If you're in this financial situation, I would highly recommend that you invest in an electric fan, or see if there's someone that you know that you can borrow one from. I was paying a crap ton of electricity bill, and most of it was going to air conditioning, because even in the night you are going to need it when it is 30 degrees Celsius, or if you're American, that's about 80 to 90 degrees at night. Just imagine what that day is going to be like. You're going to want some wind in your little cave. Transportation is not always going to be comfortable, but there is very affordable public transportation. It is not cozy. I would not recommend using a tricycle unless you're on the run to get somewhere, which basically what that is it's like one of those, kind of like a moped. A guy will drive the moped and they'll ask a certain amount to go to a specific place, and you got to find out how to go there on your own. But you'll be riding in the little miniature car that's on the side of it, so he'll like drive you around and get you somewhere pretty quickly, and it's a very like kind of personal ride. If you're a tall person especially, I would not recommend these. I've seen vloggers in the past who are pretty tall, and they'll do it because people on their channel are asking them to do it. But the cheapest way to get around is either by train or by jeepney. And if you're going to Metro Manila, you're going to want to learn all of the different kind of stops of LRT and MRT, but I'll probably talk about that in a different video if you guys are interested. So just a few last things on transportation here. You shouldn't be paying more than $30 a month, and that will keep you in a safe little zone. A few different modes of transportation you should know are angkas, which is pretty much a motor taxi. It's kind of cool because we don't have that in the States, as far as I know, like most of the place, but it's actually very affordable. Basically the kind of taxi where you hop on the back of somebody's motorcycle and then they get you somewhere pretty fast. It doesn't have the safety net of feeling like you're safe in a car, but if you want a little bit of G-force and you want to ride motorcycles and not have to drive them, a lot of the times I would be going across the city and back for like $2 to $4. But let's move on to the next one because I'm ready to try out OBS for the first time. Congratulations, you have moved on to the kind of more chill lifestyle. This is what I go with if and when I go back. This is the budget I'm going to be going with, at least starting out, until I start making more. And I might just keep this for a good minute, but this is what it's going to look like. And I'll get to this if I have time, like what I mean with like the little plus flights numbers down here, but just kind of going over what do these expenses mean. Okay, so rent, obviously rent, it's what you're going to pay for your apartment. Electric, Most of this is going to go to your air conditioning, so that's why I bumped it up, because I'm going to use air conditioning now that I'm a little bit more comfy and I can control what savings I have by the time I go, / my income. Pocket, food and stuff. My mom is watching this video, but food and crap is what I meant to say. You're going to be spending about $125 on a good day, and on a bad day you're going to be spending about $150. This little square that I'm in the corner cuts off any of the numbers. I apologize, but just listen to the words that I say and you should probably get the information that I'm about to spill on you. You're not having any fancy groceries per se, but you learn to cook, especially on a stovetop, because ovens are not really common. So learn to cook on a stovetop. It will save your life in so many ways. Visa renewal, this thing's gonna stay the same generally across the board, so you can be paying anywhere from 50 to 60. And by the way, when I say on a bad day, I've got an inflation proof plan, which means that these are what things are gonna cost if a dollar gets you 50 pesos instead of the current 60 where it's at today. Okay, so the good prices are on the left, the not as great but still pretty awesome prices are on the right. Prepare for this amount. Like if you're on this budget, I want to say you want to stay between 900 and 700. 900 to be safe. 750 is what it comes out to, but you can also choose to not spend as much on certain things. Plan for this budget in the beginning and you'll be able to kind of learn as you go. Become a student at all times and you will be so masterful with your travel expenses. For this little section I've got over here that says like other costs, don't worry about that. But when I'm going over this budget, this is just what you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. There will be some costs and it'll be up to you to decide where you get some things. I'll make a video about some things to consider if you guys are interested, like, you know, furnishing your unit, different beds to get, different like furnishing, right? $150 on a good day, and this is just the amount in pesos right here. On a bad day it's going to be about 900, so yeah, prep for that. What your apartment should look like at this rent level, I would say look for loft apartment for rents. This is on Facebook Marketplace, so we're going to look in a really good area. Right, you can set the area. I put San Juan del Monte because it's at the center of the kind of juicy meat and potatoes of town. If you say San Juan, that'll genuinely keep you in the right area. You don't want to go too far into Manila because some of these parts of town are great for like a local student or something like that. Generally speaking, if you keep a good head on your shoulders, you'll be fine. And people always ask if the Philippines is a safe country. It is, but don't be an idiot. So I would not know enough about those areas to let you know what to expect, but it's not going to be that different per se from like Makati. So when you set your pricing, I would say set a minimum of 2K, and that sounds ridiculous because you're probably not going to find anything that low. But one thing you'll find is if I take that off here, you will see these like really weird fancy places, and they say PHP 45. They might have forgotten to put the 1,000 behind that, which is a lot more. We got a few zeros on there, dude. What you want to do to avoid those is just say minimum 2,000 because that's what you plan on absolute minimum paying. Probably shouldn't get a room if it's that low. That's like 40 to 50 bucks. You find a place anywhere in the world, generally stay away from that. Avoid it like the plague. 18,000, we're going to stick with that, which is 300 on a good day, 360 on a bad day. That's not a bad day if I'm paying 360 for rent, just between you and me. This is condo for rent. Kind of a very small sleeping space. You might have to figure out the ladder. This is the zone that I'm looking at. This is about where it's going to be. Yeah, look at that. Some of these places are very basic, and if you're a guy who's not hard to please, which is most guys, yeah, like it's a good deal. Like you get some sunlight. Look at this. You do want to look at the description. So those are, it's got a fitness gym, a swimming pool. That's a good deal. Okay, and then you've got what? Okay, watch out for these that have something in their description to the effect of like rent to own, because basically that means that you are signing a mortgage. While the monthly rent is like really low, they have these giant lump sums that you might be expected to pay like every 10 months or so. While you do now have a rental property, there's a bunch of those lump sums that are kind of difficult to kind of crunch past. Make sure to do your research. We're just gonna look for one more before I move on. This is pretty good. That's pretty nice, actually. Yeah, that's a good deal right there. We're gonna move on to the next kind of level though. So we're gonna call this next level. Let me look in my notes. Now we're comfy. We went from our kind of like basic plan to here where someone who's not that demanding, someone who's just like really appreciative of every little time you get to spend together, will be totally fine with going on a date or so a week, which adds up to about this amount per month. So we move it up. That amount is about the same for the bougie plan A. Okay, the rent goes up. 30,000. Let's just bump it up to 30,000 and see what we're getting over here. And by the way, if you're not into, for whatever reason, a loft style apartment, you just generally get the best kinds of apartments coming up because they know that you're looking for something decent, a little something fancy schmancy. As you walk in, you got this lovely kitchen area. They've already got a stove built in. That's awesome. Yeah, not a bad unit. This is a little bit more, and there's more space for the bed. Almost doubled what we were having before, but that's what you get for about 500 on a good day and 600 on a bad day. Would you pay 600 for rent for a unit like that? What do you think? How about this one? This one's a little bit less, so it's like a little bit less than 500. Maybe that's about, yeah, about that much. I'm not gonna round that, I'm too lazy. Like, not bad, especially if you've got company often. That's, I think, what the big difference is here. This is the point where I would recommend, I wouldn't say like a driver is a good idea for everybody, but some people opt to get a driver. I've got a friend who has one, and if you guys want a video about like what that looks like, I would love to make you one. But basically what's going to be happening here is that you get a personal driver, like rich people personal driver, like Jeeves, could you take us out for the night? We're going to clubbing. Where you know you got 5 people in your group. Your driver has a fancy like kind of G-Wagon or something like that. They've got nice cars, but because they have so many clients, they're able to afford you literally just paying them basically $200 a month to go wherever you want to go. And I would say budget for about $200. But yeah, that's a thing. So we're gonna go on to our final boss budget. Okay, this is the end all be all, and at the end of the day, the sky's the limit. But I'm gonna say anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 and plus. Okay, do you make freaking $2,200 if you're at that kind of an income level? Or if you have that amount of savings that you're totally cool with like blowing down the drain, this is what you can expect. So we're gonna bump our budget up to 60. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna change that to 50. Yeah, so what that looks like in USD, and again, I apologize if you're not from the States. That's just the math that I think in because I'm from the States. But that's $1,000, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 per month for rent. If you can afford that, then this is what you can get. Where the oven usually goes, they've got a microwave. Interesting. Like a decent bedroom space. You got some storage on there. Okay, let's look at a few more, and then I'm probably gonna close out the video. But look at this. This one looks fancy. I think I've seen this one before. Okay. Yeah, you got some lovely window views. Lovely. It's pre-furnished. Ooh, somebody has spent some money on this one to get it ready for your stay. Okay, oh, you got the lovely living room bedroom setup so you can watch television like with your loved ones, you know, Love Island, whatever it's called, and wine night. What do you guys think? Could you live like this? How about this one? Just a few more, then I'll close off because this video is getting pretty long already. Nice stairs, kind of basic. It's not furnished, but think about what you could put in there, you know, like that's a lot of space, that's a lot of sunlight, and it's not gonna be a problem as far as heat goes as long as you've got that aircon on. Like, I like the way this one looks, so I'm gonna close off with here. This is what the classes rent, okay? Celebrities kind of live in. This is what you film movies in. Ooh, I like the mattress. Ooh, that bathroom is making me feel some type of way. I don't know, man. This is $1,000, guys. That's $1,000 right there per month. If you got that lovely glass within your glass. Not only are you overlooking the whole city, but the party that is going on in your penthouse here, me overlooking on the ants that were invited to your place. All of you. You know, could you live like this? Think about it. This is yeah, I might upgrade to this eventually. I kind of liked it. Anyway, I'm gonna close out this video because I'm taking too long. After I talk about a few of these things, we're gonna keep the electric about the same. It's just a little bit of a bigger space. So we're gonna bump it up another 1,000, right? Over here we're saying 6,000, so we're gonna bump up 7,000. Like, you really can only use so much electricity for one person, but if you have two incomes, especially like you start dating someone or what have you, you have roommates going on, probably wouldn't do that for a 1 bedroom. Just like having a whole lot of roommates for a 1 bedroom, because it's like, hey, how's the couch? Like, how's the couch from down there, dude? Pocket money of about $500, which is absolutely insane, but you can do that. And then for everything else, the sky's the limit. Your visa is going to stay the same. So it's only a fee that you pay to stay in the country while you do you. Boo boo. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it right there, because that's, you know, there's no higher than sky's the limit, right? Leave any comments down below for any thoughts that you think I missed, anything you wanted to say about the information that I shared with y'all. Other than that, make sure you look both sides before you cross the street. Make sure you brush your teeth 3 times a day. I love you, and have an amazing day. Make good financial decisions.